Hey guys, this is Aaron Schover and Josh Lucas coming at you again from Sword, Carolina. We are completing the lesson from last time. Last time we did the Dupliering. Now we're doing the counterpart to it, the Mutieren. As always, different opinions are welcome. We had some good discussions going on last week with the Dupliering, some different ideas going on there. And as always, is welcome. So we will humbly look at your opinions and ask you that you do the same to us. So we are going to work with the Mutieren. The Dupliering was a situation where your opponent is setting you aside with the strong of your sword. So as he's setting me aside, I can use this pressure against him. He's hard on the strong of the sword. I can use that pressure against him, go weak, and hit him behind his sword, and then exit as I need to protect myself. Now, the counterpart to this would be if he is setting me aside, that presents him with the weak of his sword. So if I am in control of the vine, I have the center, he is pushing me aside with the weak of his sword, I can actually wind my hands up, bring the strong into the vine, and then thrust down into his lower openings. So he's pushing me against the weak. He is weak. That allows me to become strong and take control of that vine. Once again, just like the Dupliering last week, this is an index, like in the moment type action. This is something that's only going to work if you do it immediately, right at the last week. Right in the middle of the action. So once again, he's weak in the vine. As he's pushing me aside, I can become strong and thrust down into his lower openings, or into his arm, like the case may be. As I thrust down, it takes control of his sword. It binds his sword into mine so that it can't come free. One of the issues that I have in my sparring is that a lot of times I'll forget this, and as I'm doing a Mutieren type action, I'll thrust to the head or to the face. And granted, I hit him in the face, but it frees up his sword and I often get hit underneath in the belly or in the crotch. And that's never a good thing. So I want to be able to hit him and come out unscathed, and that's why thrusting down into the lower opening takes control of his sword, binds his sword, and so now I have a feeling for where it is. I'm much more controlled with it. Now if I'm working from the way the manual set it up is that I'm attacking with a right overhow. He is defending, he is weak in the bind, so he's on the last half of the sword. He's trying to set me aside, but he's weak, so I can become strong and thrust down. If I'm doing it from my right-handed side, I'm going to wind my short edge onto his sword and thrust down. If I was working from my left side, I would do the same type of action, except I wouldn't wind my short edge, I would just keep the long edge on it. So if he's trying to set me aside, I'm going to pull my hands up and thrust down to his lower openings. So I can keep my long edge on it the whole time. So same scenario, on the right side I'm going to wind my short edge and thrust down. On the left side I'm just going to lift my hands up and thrust down. And that. Now one thing that we're working on, one of the theories that we're working on is that it is more likely for you to do a Dupliering type action against your opponent if he's blocking in flute or plow. So if he's blocking in plow, he may be weak on the sword, but it's likely that he's going to be a bit stronger in the bind, or it's going to be harder for me to control his bind. So it's going to be more likely that I'll do a Dupliering or something of that nature. And if he is in the ox guard, it's going to be more likely that he's going to be a little weak on the bind, or that I'd have easier access to his weak. So if he does the same thing, I'm attacking with an overhow, he's blocking with ox, he may very well be blocking with the strong of his sword, but it's easy, relatively easy for me to take control of the weak of his sword and then thrust down to his lower openings. And when I say lower opening, that could be belly, that could be groin, that could be leg, anything that's going to take control of the sword. So as you want to make sure that you have either the strong or the weak. If it's strong, as he's saying this side, do the Dupliering. If it's the weak, do the Mutieren. But it's very likely that if he's blocking an ox, it's going to set up that Mutieren very well. Yes.
So that's the Duplieren and the Mutieren. As you can see, they're both similar techniques, but used in different instances. Duplieren with the strong, Mutieren when you gain the weak or have access to the weak. So a good drill is for your training partner to set you up in those situations. The person operating in the knot will be able to set the distance that they're fighting at. Obviously, if they come close with a passing step, you're more likely to have the strong, so you'll do more of a Duplieren type of action, or they could step away and give you more access to the weak, which would set you up more on Mutieren. So that's a little drill that you can do with your partner as you're learning these skills.
So appreciate you guys watching. If you have any comments listed below, if you have any questions or requests, we're always open to that. Subscribe for more videos, and we appreciate you guys watching. So, thanks a lot.